In today's tutorial, we're taking an in-depth look inside the M1 Finance app. We're going to talk about how to buy and sell stocks on M1 Finance, how to take advantage of their smart rebalancing feature, and lastly, how to maximize your security settings inside the app. Hey guys, welcome back. This is Eric of Investing Apps TV, and if you're new to M1 Finance, feel free to first check out part 1 of this video series, my M1 Finance review video, where I first talk about what M1 Finance actually is. And also be sure to stay tuned until the end of this video, where I'll show you how new users to M1 Finance can get a free $10 to invest when creating a new M1 Finance account. With that being said guys, let's now hop into today's tutorial. Okay guys, so here we are now inside the M1 Finance app. This is on the main homepage here where it says Portfolio. So when you first start off with M1 Finance, you're going to want to find stocks and ETFs to add to your M1 Finance portfolio. So inside the app, what you're going to want to do is click on the upper right hand corner, those 3 dots right there. And this is where you can add to your portfolio. So if you want to add slices to your portfolio, that basically means adding new stocks or ETFs to your portfolio, you would simply click on Add Slices right there. And this basically opens up the Discover page where you can find all of the available individual stocks and ETFs. So the first tab where it says Stocks, those are all the available stocks. There are over 4,200 individual stocks you can invest in on the M1 Finance app. And if you click over on Funds, those are ETFs. Those are the diversified portfolios. Basically, those are exchange traded funds, which are diversified groups of stocks related by a certain sector or niche. And there are currently almost 2,000 ETFs that you can invest in. So altogether, guys, there are around over 6,000 investment options you can invest in on M1 Finance. Now, if you wanted to add an individual stock to your portfolio, you would go click on Stocks and choose any one of these. You can also search on the upper search bar there. Let's say you want to invest in Walmart. You could type in Walmart and then click on the Walmart right there. That will open up the Walmart stock page where you can find the latest news on that particular stock, as well as its price history, how it's performed over the last certain number of years, as well as a breakdown on the company under its profile. Now, under the company name on the top, you will see it does show its overall total market cap, the price expense ratio, as well as its dividend yield at the current time. Now, let's say you want to add this particular stock to your portfolio. All you have to do is simply click on Add to Pie on the bottom right there, and that has now been added to your pie. You can exit out of that. That's been added to your pie. As you can see, we've added 1 slice to our portfolio on M1 Finance. And next over is Funds. And like I said, guys, here on the Funds page, you can find many diversified ETFs, such as the Spider S&P 500 ETF. This is based on the S&P 500 index, which is basically focused on 500 of the largest companies in the United States. So if you're a beginning investor to investing in the stock market, I would definitely consider looking into investing in ETFs when you're first starting off, because they are very diversified and give you much less risk than investing in individual stocks. So as you can see, there are several diversified ETFs you can invest in, such as the Spider S&P 500 ETF, the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. You can invest in developing and emerging international ETFs. You can invest in mid-sized companies, mid-cap, emerging, small-cap companies. So there are several different diversified ETFs you can invest in on M1 Finance that will give your portfolio a lot less risk and much more diversification. Now, if you're really new to investing and you don't know where to start, you can also click over to where it says Expert Pies. And this is where M1 Finance will actually give you some recommendations of what they recommend investing into your portfolio. So you can open up any one of these, such as General Investing, and they'll give you their recommendations. So based on your investment objectives, you can choose an ultra conservative portfolio, a conservative portfolio, all the way up to ultra aggressive. Now, let's say you want to invest in any one of those, you would simply click on that. And again, guys, it gives you details, a breakdown of that particular portfolio, how many stocks or investment holdings are in that portfolio, as well as its performance. It also does have a breakdown of the methodology of that particular ETF. If you click on targets right there, it does show you the breakdown of what is invested in that particular ETF. So as you can see, a breakdown by percentage of what's in this particular ETF. As you can see, it has currently international developed markets make up 29% of this aggressive portfolio. The Vanguard S&P 500 make up 26%. 14% of this portfolio is the Vanguard Small Cap ETF, which is basically small cap up and coming companies in the US. You have intermediate corporate bonds making up 11% of this portfolio, with emerging international markets making up 6%. And you have 6% in Vanguard Mid-Cap ETF, which is basically mid-sized companies in the US. Another 5% is invested in real estate, and 3% invested in total international bond ETF. So That's just one example there, guys, but really you can choose any one of these ETFs. Again, the more conservative you go, you will notice that there is a larger percent in bonds. As you can see, the ultra conservative portfolio has 82% in treasury bonds, so that is very conservative. But those are just the few options under general investing. You can also choose other options such as planning for retirement, responsible investing, income earners, hedge fund followers. If you want to follow large hedge fund out there, such as Berkshire Hathaway, that's Warren Buffett's company, and all of these other top funds out there. You have industries and sectors. You can click on that. So you could easily invest in the aerospace, auto, biotech, restaurants, industrials, media, real estate, tech, all of these different sectors right here. There really are many options. Lastly, you will have over on the right-hand corner your watch list, where you can hold stocks that you don't want to invest in at the current time, but stocks you want to keep an eye on for possibly investing in the future. So basically, guys, when it comes to adding individual stocks or ETFs into your M1 Finance portfolio, all you have to do is simply click on any one of them. So let's say you want to add Johnson & Johnson to your portfolio. You would click that, click on Add to Pie, and if you exit out of there and click on Done, you will now see that that individual stock has been added to your portfolio, where you can click on that and easily adjust the percentage that you want to invest in. So you could up this amount if you want to invest 5%, 6%, 7%, whatever you want. You will notice as you add new investments to your portfolio that the total percentage will surpass 100%. As you could see, as I increase the Johnson & Johnson holding in my portfolio, it's now up to 110 of 100%. So it won't let me save this portfolio because it's too high. So when you're adding a new investment, such as Johnson & Johnson, if I were to designate 10% of my portfolio to Johnson & Johnson, I would have to reduce 10% from somewhere else. So I could take away 2 of these 5% or take away any one of these other investments with 10% to allow that. Once I did that, I would simply click on the Save button in the upper right-hand corner, and that would officially add the new investment to my portfolio, whether it be an individual stock or an ETF. And if you want to change your mind and you don't want to invest in one of those, you would simply click on the X on the upper left-hand corner and click on Discard, and that will not add the new investment to your portfolio. Now I want to talk about a pretty cool feature in the M1 Finance app known as their Smart Rebalancing feature. So to access this, you just again click on the upper right-hand corner, those 3 dots, and click on the third option where it says Rebalance. If you click on that, that opens up the Rebalance tab where it says, during the next trading window, M1 will buy underweight slices and sell overweight slices to bring your pie back to its targets. And if you want to learn more about rebalancing and what it means, you can click on that link right there to learn more about it. But basically all you have to know, guys, when it comes to rebalancing is that rebalancing is very helpful for maintaining your target percentages. What I mean by that is when you first set up your M1 Finance account and you add individual stocks or ETFs to your portfolio, you give certain percentages to each investment. So let's say I wanted to initially invest 10% of my portfolio in Amazon and another 10% of my portfolio in Wells Fargo. Now let's say over the course of many months, Wells Fargo underperformed and Amazon overperformed. Well, over time, guys, those percentages that you initially set up can be thrown off. So for example, whereas I initially set up 10% of my portfolio to be invested in Wells Fargo, if Wells Fargo performed poorly over a couple of months, that initial 10% target could drop to 5%. So 5% of my portfolio would now be invested in Wells Fargo. And let's say Amazon performed really well over those few months. Well, that 10% initial target in Amazon could now make up 15% of my portfolio would now be invested in Amazon. So that's really what rebalancing is for. All you would have to do is click on the confirm button and M1 Finance will automatically do it for you at no charge. So do I recommend rebalancing? Well, it really is up to you, and it does depend on your individual investment objectives. I definitely think rebalancing can be extremely helpful for maintaining a diversified portfolio. If you don't rebalance, over time your portfolio can become less diversified as overperforming stocks begin to make up a larger percentage of your portfolio and underperforming stocks will begin to make up a lower percentage. The argument, on the other hand, against rebalancing is that if a particular stock is performing very well, you may not want to rebalance. You may want to let that particular stock keep growing and keep maintaining a larger percentage of your portfolio. But at the end of the day, guys, like I said, it really does depend on your individual investment objectives, and either option really is fine. So lastly, guys, I now want to cover the security features on the M1 Finance app and how you can set those up to maximize your security on this app. So to access the security features, you want to open up the left-hand side menu and scroll down to where it says Settings. Under Settings here, you'll see several options. I want you to click on the second option where it says Security, and this is where you can set up the security features. M1 Finance, I will say, has quite a few more security features than most of the other investment apps I've tried so far. The first one is a PIN code. There's a 4-digit code you could set up so that in order to open up the app, you would have to enter that 4-digit PIN. Now, if you want some deeper security, you can use fingerprint authentication as a replacement for your PIN. But probably the biggest security feature I recommend taking advantage of on the M1 Finance app is two-factor authentication. So on the bottom it says enable two-factor authentication. If you click on that, it says M1 Finance offers two-factor authentication, which utilizes a second device to provide an extra layer of security for your account. I definitely recommend setting up two-factor authentication on your M1 Finance account. Now, one thing I really like about two-factor authentication on M1 Finance app is that they integrate two-factor authentication with the Google Authenticator app. As you can see here, many investing apps don't even have two-factor authentication at all, but the few that do, a lot of them have simply SMS text messaging as a two-factor authentication option, and that is a much less secure option than the Google Authenticator app. And lastly, guys, if you do want to share the M1 Finance app with your friends, all you have to do is open up the menu there and scroll down. You'll see where it says refer and earn, send friends $10 and get $10 for yourself. If you click on that, it'll open up the referral program, which basically anytime you invite any of your friends to join M1 Finance and they open a new account, both you and your friend will get a free $10 to invest in the M1 Finance investing app. So again, guys, if you're new to M1 Finance and would like to give it a try, feel free to join through my referral link. I'll put it in the description box below. Like I said, guys, you don't have to join through me, but if you would like to give it a try, feel free to join through me. It does help support the channel and is appreciated. And also, guys, feel free to share your own referral link with your friends so both of you can get a free $10 to invest on M1 Finance as well. But overall, that's how you invest in stocks and ETFs on the M1 Finance platform, whether you want to invest in individual stocks or ETFs. And again, that's how you take advantage of the smart rebalancing feature made available by M1 Finance. And don't forget to set up the two-factor authentication feature on your app as well. And that pretty much concludes today's tutorial on the M1 Finance app. If you have any questions on how to use any of the features in either the app or the website, feel free to leave your questions down below in the comments. I'm always happy to connect with you guys down there. And of course, if you'd like to see some of my other investment app review videos or tutorials, feel free to check out my playlist of those right over here to the right. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode of Investing Apps TV.